Will you join me for a deep breath? I hope you feel a little better now. I was asked recently, how did I even start teaching yoga? How did I even start helping women? And I thought that was a perfect opportunity to come, say hello, share my story with you on just some things that I don't share on a regular basis. I kind of share things that I'm going through on a daily and week-to-week basis as a mom, as a human. So join me, grab a cup of tea. This shouldn't be too long. I actually just finished an interview with my friend Kristen. She's in California. Her business is the Mermaid Movement, and she was asking me a little bit about my journey, and I shared a brief version of it on Instagram Live just now, and hopefully I'll be releasing it here to you very soon. But my name is Heather Nieves. I am a women's empowerment coach. I also am a certified yoga teacher. I guide women on a journey to self-acceptance through meditation and movement to embrace her body and to show up authentic AF in her business. And this started because these are things that I personally desired deeply to work on in my own life. My mom was a single mom. I grew up in upstate New York, and for most of my childhood, was the fat friend. I had a friend when we got to middle school and we bought our first pair of wide leg jeans. I don't know if you remember that. I remember she was so small for a size 0, and my first pair of wide leg jeans, I think I was like a size 7 I think I was a size 7. And just growing up, I remember just snacking tons with my mom, and I played some town sports, but I had a lot of emotions. My father left when I was 5 years old, and my brother is 11 years older than me, so we didn't have a really strong connection to have that brother and sister bond, right? He was my older brother that teased me. But growing up, my grandma and my uncle from my father's side of the family stayed connected with me. And so through that connection to Connecticut, when I was in high school, I got this idea. I didn't know that this was my intuition at the time, but I got this idea. I'm like, I want to move to Connecticut after I graduate high school. And I graduated high school back in 2003. And so my mom said, okay, I moved to Connecticut, and I was a very rebellious teenager. I did things you don't want your teenage daughter doing. I quickly made some mistakes, and my uncle said, get out. So I was on my journey of roommate to roommate to roommate. But when I was 19, among all of these moves and crazy roommates, I'm talking like the roommates were slitting their wrists with blood on the wall. I've had quite some experiences as a young adult when I was a teenager. But something inside of me just didn't want to return to my hometown. And I know now that that's my intuition that was guiding me on this path to where I am today. But I met my husband, and I had a crazy roommate, and it kind of pushed us together quite early in our relationship. But we've been together for 15 years now. We met when I was 19. And so we lived together, and then we bought a condo together. And then 3 years later, we got married. And then 10 years later, we had our son. And he'll be 5 in June. But how I got started on this, I actually hadn't done yoga. We were very religious. We were attending a church for quite some time when we were living in Connecticut, and yoga wasn't something that was encouraged. I don't speak negatively about this church whatsoever, but I just naturally, organically grew apart. And yes, living in the South, I'm speaking openly about my personal journey. But when we moved to California, it just wasn't something that I desired to return to. And I became a stay-at-home mom when my son was born, and I desire greatly to contribute to my family. So I tried a lot of different network marketing companies. It was the path that I needed to go on. I think I was part of maybe 8 or 10 of them over the course of my adult life, maybe 6, maybe 8. But I lost a lot of weight once after my son was born. It took me some time to decide to do that. So my son was born in June. It was January, kind of that time of year when everyone jumps on that bandwagon. And I lost a lot of weight. I really lost a lot of weight. And yoga was one of the programs that was for the rest day, to stretch, to take a break, but an active break. And I fell in love with it. And even though I lost all this weight, I was miserable. I was starving myself. I was at my lowest weight and I was down to a size 6. I hadn't been to a size 6. I've been a size 6 and I've been an 18 and I've been everything in between. I gained 55 pounds when I had my son. I absolutely took advantage of the fact that I was pregnant. And if you can relate, whether you're watching live or the replay, can you share below, say hello. And, moving from Connecticut to California after our son turned 1 and becoming a stay-at-home mom was freaking hard. I resisted it completely, but it was, something where I was supporting my husband. So we moved to northern LA where he was working in self-storage, and it was scary and difficult, but I had a really ugly relationship with food most of my life. So I hired someone to help me to navigate that. And that's when meditation came into my life, and I was doing yoga once a week. So I decided I'm going to do yoga more often. I did one of those challenges with Yoga with Adriene on YouTube, and I fell in love with it. I wanted to become a yoga teacher, but actually I hadn't that took, I think, 1 year to 2 years before I actually found the right program to get certified. But I quit my network marketing companies at the time and started helping women on their meditation journey, and realized in all of these network marketing companies, I was coaching women, I was empowering them, I was holding them accountable, reminding them of their greatness as I was on my journey to remember who I was at the same time. So in California, we moved again. I found a studio that I aligned with, and I took their yoga teacher training program. It was a 4-month program. Last spring I did that, but I still had some coaching programs and clients, but I shifted my focus on yoga. But it was the perfect integration in helping women on their body positive journey, on a journey to self-acceptance and self-love. And so yoga, it made so much sense. So when I moved to South Carolina 9 months ago, coming and starting to teach immediately, I had already been showing up online. I had already hired lots of coaches and mentors and was launching this business virtually. That coming to town was scary and uncomfortable, but I've done so many uncomfortable things for the last 17 years with moving and launching different businesses. Gary Vee, if you don't follow Gary Vaynerchuk, he'll tell these young entrepreneurs, you need to go try all the things so that you can decide what it is you enjoy doing. And if you don't try all the things, how will you possibly even know, right? So I think at one point in my life when I would share this story with others, I definitely felt some embarrassment or shame for signing up with so many different jobs over the years and signing up for so many network marketing companies. However, it was the journey that I needed to take in order to realize what my gifts were, in order to realize what I liked and what I didn't like. I'm no longer affiliated with any network marketing company, although I have tons of friends that are, and I support with all of my heart, because it's an incredible business that's it supports so many families, right? But for me, I realized my calling was to do something else, right? And so that's where I'm so confident, and some people come to me with opportunities all the time, but I respectfully decline on a regular basis. So I actually opened up an actual little mini yoga studio in February before we were quarantined, and it was something that happened very unexpectedly, but I have been on this incredible journey of trusting my intuition. And I know trust is something that is hard to trust another individual, let alone trust your own intuition. However, I kept dreaming about it once this space came available. And I actually had a yoga student, Michelle, if you're watching, thank you for asking me when I was opening up my yoga studio, because just being in this town for 5-6 months, driving past places, I'm like, oh, when I get established in this town of Lexington, South Carolina, maybe I'll open one there, maybe in a couple of years. Never did I imagine that a couple of weeks later, this little space would open up at a co-working space and I would say yes, although it didn't happen that quickly. My husband said no, and in the past, I've made a lot of financial decisions on my own, without communicating. And for us, it's very important for us to make financial decisions together since we've been together for 15 years now. So I was heartbroken. He said no. I cried. I didn't talk to him for 4 days. Then I surrendered and I started focusing on I have a small coaching community called Authentic AF. It's a sisterhood of women on a self-love journey. And I lead them in meditations and monthly sisterhood sessions. And I offer them yoga in addition to my other yoga membership that we're doing during this quarantine. That's virtual, but he said, you know what, I think you should go open up that yoga studio. And it's only for 8 yoga mats. And once we're out of quarantine, if you're local, I definitely would love to have you come. But yoga, there's a lot of yoga philosophy that I enjoy, but I don't teach because it feels a little confusing. It feels connected to a religion. But yoga is a way of life. And I have blended my personal journey of self-love and body positivity and self-acceptance and meditation with what I've learned in yoga teacher training to come to offer you I Love Me Yoga. So if you haven't taken a class yet, just know that this isn't your average yoga class. It's perfect for the beginner or the yogi that wants to return to her practice. And so as a women's empowerment coach, I get to lead this I Love Me Yoga experience, infusing it with beautiful lyrics in the music that I sing virtually to you. And really beautiful affirmations. And while I love yoga philosophy and weave things in from time to time, I don't think that it needs to be an all or nothing experience when you're in a yoga class. It might seem too complex for the beginner, right? I know I was very intimidated by it. So I hope that you have found a little bit of my story and journey inspiring so that you will go after your dreams. If you're seeking support, please reach out to me. I don't have any specific open programs right now as far as guiding you on a journey to reclaim your identity outside of mom and wife. That's something that's very powerful. If you're feeling the nudge, I encourage you to listen to it. Trust the ideas that come to you in dreams or when you're meditating. I don't believe that meditation has to be fully silent. I get some of the most incredible ideas when I'm meditating, although I do enjoy silence as well to kind of calm the storm that happens within me sometimes, because we are addicted to thinking. And that's why so many of us think, oh, I'm not good at meditation. But the truth is, it's called a practice. Yoga is a practice. And so when you continue to show up for yourself, to practice sitting with yourself, incredible realizations happen, magical experiences happen. And sometimes you're like, wow, that was quiet. That was nice. And maybe it's not this profound experience that you're expecting it to be, but maybe there was a moment in between that you found some peace, some joy, some happiness, a memory from your past comes through. It's different for everyone. So thank you for joining me for today's impromptu story about how I Love Me Yoga came to be. Ask questions if you're inspired. Invite a friend to watch this. Try one of my classes. I currently offer $5 virtual drop-ins to my I Love Me Yoga. I do have a membership as well. And I hope that you'll, as we're in this universal worldly pause, you'll find time to remember who you are and get to know yourself on a whole new level. So I will see you soon.